So Women Warriors Network was created to inspire women who would class themselves as ordinary. The reality is these women are extraordinary in business and in life every single day. So I think everybody is super special. So please, guys, along the way, do feel free to introduce yourselves on the chat line. Just let us know who you are, where you're from, and what you do, because it's good. This is what we want to do, is to be able to connect with people we wouldn't normally be able to connect with. So I founded Women Warriors Network in the midst of the pandemic, when without choice, I had to put all of my health and well-being retreats on hold. But during this time, I did also realize that there were many women who needed people and networks to support them during the exceptionally challenging times. So with my warrior attitude, I love the warriors, it led me to set up and name it as Women Warriors Network. I think we're all warriors in some way or another. It exists to bring together inspirational women and men who support, motivate, and change people's lives. The platform allows you all to connect with other people outside of your day-to-day networks, giving you the opportunity to listen to inspirational warrior women with their own personal story at each event. So beyond that, with Women Warrior Network's virtual gathering, it provides an opportunity to learn. We want to learn and develop new skills, attitudes, and behaviours so they can become even more extraordinary. So thank you all very, very much for joining us. And I'm absolutely delighted and excited to welcome you to this Power Hour with incredible people. I absolutely love people. I mean, everybody knows I do. I mean, I do prefer that I can hug people and meet people in person, but we've all had to make do. But hopefully when things do settle down, we will be able to host these events in Monaco, UAE, UK, and Jersey, everywhere, anywhere. So the topic today is the power of resilience among women at the top. So what does it actually mean to me? So building resilience is being able to cope with the unexpected changes and challenges. So for example, my ex-husband, he left me when I was 3 months pregnant with a 2-year-old. And I thought, bugger, I didn't expect this to happen in my life. And this is quite some time ago, of course. But what did I do? Did I cry? Absolutely yes. And I cried for a long time. But did I give up? Absolutely no. I had to keep going. Just like a lot of us, we come across these challenges, but we've just got to keep pushing through. And there's been several challenges along the way, I must say, but that's for another, I don't need just one episode. I'd need quite a long series. So on that note, though, I just want to thank all of these particular inspirational speakers just for taking the time, and for all of those who've joined us today, who've taken the time to join us. So we had over 650 people who've signed up for this event. So again, not everybody can join live as we deliver, but what they will do, as I said, they will get the recordings afterwards and the follow-ups. So it's just a delight to have so many people, even through a global pandemic, so many people still come through. So on that note, I'm just going to introduce our incredible lineup today, and then we will start with Sarah. So we have Sarah Newman. So Sarah is ex-Dragon's Den investor and founder of 10 Bravo. We're going to talk about that after, but it's related to these beauties. We have Mary Frawley. She's Irish but based in Jersey, and the founder and CEO of YESREJ. And we have Linda Plant, so BBC The Apprentice interviewer with Lord Sugar and founder of the Linda Plant Academy. So we're going to start with Sarah. So I've just got to maneuver my screen just a little bit around here, and I need to just unmute Sarah. Oh, there you are. There's so many people here. Can you? Oh, go again. You're on. You're in.
Am I unmuted?
You are unmuted. I know. The way we have to do this. So a huge warm welcome to Sarah. I mean, we've not met in person yet, but we absolutely will do soon. So Sarah Newman was a .com millionaire and Ireland's only female dragon on the hit TV series Dragon's Den. She grew a business of booking hotel reservations online from nothing to 100 million and employing 95 people, selling it for a speculated 50 million with long-term contracts, Ryanair, Aer Lingus and BMI. So Sarah certainly has a story, and if anyone has the power of resilience, Sarah certainly does. So welcome, Sarah. Good morning to you.
Good morning to you and to everyone. Hi.
It's lovely to have you on board, Sarah. So you were the first woman investor on Dragon's Den in Ireland. So why do you think you were asked to become a dragon?
And I suppose that I was probably the first high-profile self-made woman in Ireland. So I was, you know, I was on the papers, as they say, an awful lot of the time about the success of the growth of needahotel.com and the subsequent sale. And so Larry Bass, the producer of Dragon's Den in Ireland, needed 4 boys and 1 girl. And so I suppose that made it was easier just picking 1 girl. I got selected, and I was really honoured because I thought, gosh, why me? Probably because I can be a bit of a stroppy cow. That might be one of the reasons. And I suppose it was my, building a business from a 1-bedroom apartment to, with secondhand furniture and pens that I used to nick from all the hotels around the world that I used to stay in, and building a really fantastic team over the years, and obviously growing in an extraordinary way. So I guess they wanted some of that to transfer onto the Dragon's Den programme.
There I'm back. Oh, amazing though. But I mean, that's quite a, I absolutely love Dragon's Den. I watch it here in the UK, but there is absolutely no way I would be a little afraid to stand in front of these dragons who scrutinize, pick everything. But obviously you have that capability. I've watched a few clips and I would have been a little bit scared of you.
Good.
That was the idea.
I think so, yeah.
Okay then. So what does for you being part of the Women Warriors Network mean?
For me, the fact that I think you responded to an article that I had given to the Sunday Independent in Ireland about 2 weeks ago. And I spoke out openly about my catastrophic downfall from being pretty wealthy to hero to zero, as they say, and how we read about people who are awfully successful all the time, and that's all great, but it makes a few of us feel a bit sick actually sometimes. Oh, their life is so great, why, I work really hard, and why isn't my life better? I know I'm generalizing, but we do read an awful lot of happy stories about happy thin people who are beautiful as well, and they've got really nice husbands, and that makes us all a bit pukey, really. So when you reached out, it just hit a note for me, women warriors, and I thought, you know what, I think I am a warrior. I am a warrior, and it's the support of friends. Some of whom are on the Zoom event today. Thanks for joining. Some are like colleagues from Neda Hotel days, and we're still all great friends. So what I know is that by you spearheading this event, it reminded me how important sticking together and sharing the bad stories is nearly more important than sharing the really look at me, I'm fantastic stories, because it makes people feel more human. And actually, as a result of that article that I gave to Sunday Independent, I've had like 75,000 messages of support, response, likes, and just as many from men as from women. So it gave me that you connecting with me and me giving that interview gave me that kick that I needed to remind me that being in a network of like-minded people is vital to help keep us standing.
I love that. I'm absolutely all for the networking. I always have been, and I think I always will be, because I love people. But I totally agree with you. I think that support from each other and just bouncing ideas off each other, and it's not always, oh my gosh, I'm amazing, I've did this, I've did that. There are sometimes the kind of sad stories, but not in a way of please feel sorry for me, but in a way of come on, need to get out of this and do something. So no, so I'm really pleased, and it's great to have you here, Sarah.
Thank you.
So moving on, so how did Need a Hotel come about and grow into a multi-million-pound business? Great name, by the way.
Thank you. Well, I grew up in England, and I moved to Ireland in 1994, obviously because of a man. And I got married, and I had worked for the world's biggest wholesale tour operator in London before that. And my job in Gulliver's travel agency was to buy all the hotel rooms in London and Paris every day for the wholesale travel market, which was about 1,000 rooms a night in each city. So when I got married by the age of 25 and moved to Ireland, I decided that I wanted to try working for myself. So I asked Gulliver's, would they be my supplier, 20,000 hotel rooms around the world, from a cheapest 2-star to a top deluxe hotel. And they said they would, but they laughed at me because most of their markets were absolutely gargantuan, whereas Ireland back then had a population of, less than 3 million people. Plus, for those people that are millennials or certainly a lot younger than me, this was all pre-internet. So I sat in a 1-bedroom apartment in Dublin, Blackrock County, Dublin, and started contacting travel agents and tour operators in Ireland, asking them, did they need a hotel? And I would give them heavily discounted rates. So I went from, as you mentioned, 0 to about 100 million in 10 years. Not in that 1-bedroom apartment, but that's how I started. I had my daughter Grace 10 months after I got married and set up the business, and had her on a Friday, and she was under my desk on the Monday morning. And they make noise babies, which I didn't know at the time. And then I had Patrick 16 months later. So I was very much a young mum juggling all sorts of funny things. And then I, to add more hassle to my life, I left my husband. And the kids were 3 and 4. So the combination of the starting a business that people wanted these discounted hotel rooms, that was a plus. Going to travel agents and tour operators in Ireland who wanted to book with me was a plus. Getting separated with 2 young children was a rocket up my backside that said, you better make this business work, love, otherwise you're stuffed. And so I worked even harder, brought in over the years brilliant people who were far, far cleverer than me to work on my team. I will admit, I'm quite good at ideas and vision, but the finance side, I can read a P&L backwards and forwards and inside out, but I actually can't add up. So I have to use my fingers, and I have to read. When the kids were little, I used to hide the times table, on the inside of the cupboard where the cereal was kept, because I would make them practice their times tables, and I honestly didn't have a clue. So I don't have that type of brain, but I knew where I wanted this to go. And with a brilliant team, they were happy to listen to me and actually go and do all the, the really, really tough stuff. But we grew, we embraced the internet. In 2001, we were lucky enough that we were already working with Ryanair before they went live on the .com. Well, lucky enough, we were giving them millions in commission, by the way. It wasn't because they loved us, it was because we were good at what we did. And then we extended our contract with them actually over about 9 years, I think, in the end. And when they went live on Ryanair.com, which everybody would be able to resonate with, you go on Ryanair, you book your flight, and then you need a hotel, right? And that's what we used to be called, Need a Hotel, and on the Ryanair website. So people would book online real time with us through Ryanair, Aer Lingus, BMI, a couple of other small airlines. And then we had really the whole of the travel agent market in north and south of Ireland. So we ended up having a multilingual call centre because we were, you know, and we were open every day except Christmas Day. We did try opening on Christmas Day one year, but I felt a bit mean, so we closed. But it was a great place to work, and what made it successful were the people. And I think as well, one of the things that I bought in, which now is totally normal, but all those many years ago, 20 years ago, I couldn't get my kids. I put my kids in a school that, not because it had a brilliant education, but actually because they opened at 8 o'clock in the morning and had like a preschool crèche thing. And I thought, excellent, that's a brilliant school, in they go. And that was so that I could actually get to work to run, you know, the company that I had the majority share of. But I noticed that there were other, mostly women, coming to work and just absolutely hassled and stressed because they couldn't get little Johnny to school on time. And I actually sat down with our directors and said, look, we have to be more flexible. And to begin with, that was met with horrification, if that's a word. I think I just made up a new word, horrification. And I said, listen, you know, we've got to be nice to people. And so from that day on, anybody that had some responsibility in the morning, other than work, then they went and did it, and, you know, worked a little bit longer through lunch. Everybody was given a half a day if they needed, or if they ever wanted, should go to the nativity play or the sports day. And that's what built a great team, was by being, in my humble opinion, by actually being really human. And I had a call centre where people answered the phone and spoke to you like a human being, because they were human. Hello. And so, you know, that it's being human. You have to be human.
That's absolutely incredible. How amazing to be the start of setting something so incredible up there, Sarah. I mean, amazing. But then obviously with the highs, we always have some lows, unfortunately. And you suffered, unfortunately, a stroke at the young age of 45. Was that brought on by the stress of what you were going through?
You know, I'm not a neurologist, obviously, so, you know, you can actually get a stroke lifting the shopping, doing yoga, you know, shutting a car door, or you can get a stroke out of extreme stress. And I think that's probably more likely than that what happened was extreme stress. And it was horrible and it was frightening, but it was called a VAD, which is a vertebral arterial dissection. And that's officially classified as a stroke for young people. So because I was on the 45 and that's where it cuts off, I was actually quite all right about it, really. And I got better.
You got through it, but that's a good positive attitude. I think if you had a different attitude or mindset, it would just bring you down. And so, I mean, that's amazing. And so, Sarah, you were flying around in private jets, living the high life for many years. So, but you also appear to remain quite grounded and clearly have a good heart. Thankfully, now you're on the up. And I noticed, though, so you rediscovered your sense of purpose by being involved, helping wounded soldiers, which is amazing, and feeding the homeless. Does this help put your problems into perspective?
Yes, it does. Full stop, without question. But the most important thing for me was I've always been involved in helping ex-military veterans find second sustainable jobs. But what really made me make a very big effort about this was that I went to, I was sponsoring a table at the RAF Club in London for a very boutique charity called Walking for Wounded. Not Walking for Wounded, what am I saying? My brain's going, Flying for Freedom. God, it's either legs or arms. Anyway, Flying for Freedom. And that's a charity that helps veterans who have lost limbs to fly microlight aircraft. And so I was lucky enough to be at this dinner and helping sponsoring it. And it's quite extraordinary when you're in a room with maybe 80 people and about 60 of them are very young amputees, and some of them are multiple amputees. And I was sitting next to an ex-Royal Marine who had lost a leg. His name was Adam. And we chatted away, and I asked him, you seem really, really bright and really clever. And he'd retrained in data analytics or something very fancy like that. And I said to him, you'll probably find it really, really easy to get another career. And with that, Adam turned around and he said, are you absolutely out of your mind? He said, I grew up on a housing estate somewhere up north, and most of my friends are either dead or in prison. And he said, I ran away to the Royal Marines as young as I possibly could, and it's my family and it's all I ever wanted. And he said, so you think that a lad like me will be able to go into some place and get a proper grown-up job with, with a nice collar and suit on? He said, well, he actually swore at me, which I won't repeat because I don't know you all well enough yet. But he swore at me in a kind of a nice way. And he said, why don't you help me? And I said, all right, then I will. And with that, I started going to the KPMGs and the PwCs and all those big companies saying, there's this amazing military guy who, yes, he used to just jump out of planes and do all sorts of, defense things, but he's got the most incredible brain. And I think you should talk to him. And actually, every one of those companies, bar one, all said, are you a charity? Because we don't pay to recruit people. And that really, really upset me, because I thought, you're going to, I'm not a recruitment consultant, but I'm going and trying to help. And actually, yeah, I think you should pay me for this service, because I'm going to find you the best people I can find you. And why wouldn't you pay for it? You think you're doing me a favor by recruiting a guy that's lost a leg. So it drove me crazy. And sometimes it's good to get angry, because it makes you realize what your purpose is and be determined. So anyway, eventually I helped Adam get into a leading one of the big five, and all these 6 years or something later, he's still there. He's been promoted I don't know how many times, and he stays in lovely hotels, has an amazing career, and he still thanks me and says that if it wasn't for my introduction, that was my light bulb moment in terms of Sarah Newman. Stop feeling sorry for yourself. Yes, you don't have your aeroplane anymore, and you don't have your 10 properties around the world and all the other lovely things that you had, but they're only things. You can still talk. Boy, I can talk, can't I? You can still talk, and you can still, if you get your head right, you can still do what you were good at. You haven't lost the ability to do what you're good at. That guy and loads of other veterans have had to change their entire lives on the back of serving their country and sustaining a horrific injury. And that's what I've been doing for the last 6 years, is helping veterans in any way, shape or form that I can, because it's something that we should all play a part in. I don't do it for love. I do it because it's a duty.
But Sarah, saying that, just quickly going back onto that, when you said, his response to you was like, really, do you think I'm going to get a job in the big world? Well, I'm absolutely thrilled, delighted, because I received my first sponsor for the Women Warriors Network just yesterday. And the company is incredible, their background, and I will be highlighting them a lot, their Clarity & Co. and the Soap Co. So
yes. Yeah,
I'm going to read off of it quickly, so just so I get it right. But the purpose is to enhance the lives of people with disabilities or long-term health conditions, along with their friends and family, through meaningful performance and transitional employment. Now, I think to me that's key. This company is incredible because they have a huge purpose, and they're very ethically orientated also. So, I mean, I love hearing this, and I'm delighted. I'm very thankful to have this company on board. But as I said, you'll be hearing lots about it in the next couple of weeks. And just very quickly, Sarah, just finishing off, so we'll move on to Mary. What now? What are your plans for the future?
Well, to keep working on my mental health, keep trying to wake up every morning, which is always a bonus. Trying to get over long COVID. I've just spent 4 days in bed. I'm only just up this morning. It's a real thing. I had COVID back last beginning of October pretty badly, and then every month after that I just wake up one morning and I can't move, can't get out of bed, So that was my turn this weekend. So that was rough. So I hope I don't look too disgusting. And then I've had another business that I set up just over a year ago called Excess Trading. Our shop is called 10 Bravo, and I work with a multi-billion-dollar company out of Hong Kong and the Philippines, and we are at the moment we're making antimicrobial and antiviral face masks, which I sent you one. And it's not that I want to be in the face mask business, everyone, not at all. It's that this company are investing about $500 million in taking the technology of PPE equipment and bringing it into leisure clothing. So I'm not sure what range we'll bring out. It could be the all-in-one hazmat suits for traveling. Loads of people in the Far East are wearing disposable all-in-one sort of CSI type suits for traveling, because not only are people still afraid of the virus, but they also, when they arrive at their destination, they don't want to be putting anybody else at threat. So you take your suit off, you pop it in the washing machine, and you're good to go. So the mask thing is testing the market and seeing how people like the fabric. And then we're looking at some leisure, antiviral and antimicrobial leisure wear. So and then stuff for the military as well. You can bring the capability of the material to such a high level that it will end up, we can have like anti-fireproof and anti-stab proof, etc. So that'll be great for the armed forces and the military. So,
but receiving this, hate wearing a mask, hate it, but no, we have to, and it's not going away anytime soon. No. So I was delighted to receive this, not only with a cute little note, but this, with the adjustable straps. It is very light, and I feel I'm not being suffocated. Yeah. So I look forward to seeing and hearing more about the range. So Sarah, thank you so much. We will go back to you at the end, but we'll just move on. I'm conscious of time. So thank you. So I want to introduce Mary Frawley. So Mary, I met lovely Mary about 12 years ago or so, when we were part of, we set up the sport and social of the IIBN, the Irish International Business Network, with Conor Foley and Fionnuala Pender. Still very much involved with them. They are an incredible network, and they've grown very much globally also. But that's how Mary and I met. And then I found out Mary was in Jersey, and so we reconnected recently. So I am delighted to have Mary on board here. And where you're based in Jersey though as well, and you've just set up your business, you were very fitted in very well for one of my women at the top. So welcome, Mary.
Thanks very much, Sandy. Hello, everybody. I'm really flattered to be here and among such esteemed panelists. When Sandy asked me to do a slot at the Power of Resilience among women at the top, I have to say, because I don't consider myself to be a woman at the top just yet, I mentioned that to Sandy, and she reassured me that the purpose of this network, as Sarah mentioned, is all about collaboration, support, and encouraging others. So it's against that backdrop I want to share with all of you my experience, what resilience means to me, and the journey I took to get where I am. So I'll start by saying the things that make up resilience for me are stubbornness and hope. I'll tell you a little bit about who I am, and then I'll tell you a little bit about the journey that I've gone through to get where I am. So I'm an accountant fellow, I'm a project manager, I'm a Lean Six Sigma black belt, and I'm an accredited member of the Institute of Turnaround. And what I do is end-to-end corporate turnarounds. And what that means in English is that I'm basically a corporate doctor. And what does a corporate doctor do? Well, if you think of yourself as an individual, over time, despite your best efforts, and I do this every Monday, I start afresh. I am going to eat well this week. I'm going to eat regularly. I'm going to eat the right things. I'm going to do an enormous amount of exercise. I'm going to put on loads of face creams. I'm going to look amazing. I'm going to have the best social life in the world, really good balanced. That just goes off track. By the time 11 o'clock Monday morning comes, I've already started to adopt bad habits. And if you continue to do that over time, at some point in the future, there will be a trigger in your life that will cause you pain. And what happened to me recently is I went for a run and I ruptured my calf muscle. And it wasn't the run that caused me to yelp out in pain. It was the fact that when I look back, I had forgone a good warm-up for a sustainable period of time. So when I went out on a run that day, I ended up going to hospital. So as a corporate doctor, it's very similar, that scenario that I've talked to you about, that happens with corporates as well. And they generally call on me when they are in pain. I'm trying to get them to work with me so that they can call on me in advance of that, because there's more options available. But when they call on me, I identify the root cause of the distress. I work with them to identify the turnaround options that will work for them and their staff and their circumstances and within their timeline. And that often involves restructuring, transformation, and an element of remediation, because the remediation gives them that short-term respite to the pain. But I'm looking to implement a sustainable cure to those underlying causes. So it's really important that I find out what those are as fast as I can at the beginning. And the ultimate objective is that I can return the treated business to the local management team, so they will be able to move it forward and introduce efficiencies, improvement projects, and they can then push it forward painlessly because they know that the underlying causes have been resolved. So that's who I am and what I do. But how did I end up being a corporate doctor? My journey started with a cross-country scholarship to a university in the States. That unfortunately fell through at the last minute. Because my athletic scholarship fell through, I had already rejected a place in art college. So I wasn't going to be a star athlete. I wasn't going to be an amazing artist. So I ended up doing a commerce degree because of the way the Irish qualifications and entry into university works, because I didn't want to defer for a year. And if your life goes in another direction, you just have to jump in and go with it. So I really enjoyed my commerce degree, and I ended up getting job offers on what's called the milk rounds, when accountancy firms come into university and they offer students provisional jobs based on the students obtaining the grades that they were already getting at the time at their final exams. So for the jobs that I was offered, I was really cheeky, and I counter offered the firms that they should give me a job abroad, because selfishly I just wanted to travel. So I thought that was a great way to travel without having to pay for it. So that's how I ended up in Jersey. And Jersey, if you don't know it, it's 9 miles by 5 miles. It's an island between France and the UK, and there are 120,000 people here. Because it's such a small island, there are population controls. So the population controls that existed when I arrived, and I was 21 at the time, was that I couldn't buy a house here unless I had lived on the island for 20 years. So at 21, I didn't think I would be anywhere for 20 years because that seemed like a lifetime. So in a story that might be familiar to a lot of people in Jersey, I had intended to stay for 3 years, and I ended up meeting somebody and staying over 10 years in Jersey, well, about 10 years in Jersey. But then I really did want to buy a place of my own. So I asked the bank I was working for at the time, would they relocate me to London, which they kindly did. So I moved to London, and I worked in the bank for years. And I was also hoping that I could study art in my spare time, because the options weren't available to do that type of study in Jersey, and there wasn't as much online courses available as there are now. After a few years in London, I ended up taking voluntary redundancy, and I leapt at the chance to take voluntary redundancy because it never made sense to me that my main source of income was all coming from one source. So I thought, if I start up my own business, I'll have clients and I'll have income coming in from multiple sources. So I was very naive. I went out on my entrepreneurial journey with no experiences of being an entrepreneur. And I set up a business model where I would work for clients for free in exchange for shares. Very quickly, I realized that you need cash to buy things. So I had to renegotiate with all the clients who were very willing for me to work for free, so that they would pay me a minimum amount of money, but I also kept that share trigger. So if I delivered outcomes to them, they would grant me shares. But I also built in a mechanism where if they, for some reason, I'd reached the outcomes and they didn't want to give me the shares, they would pay me the difference between my market rate that I should have earned and the discounted rate that I was working for. The model was still too naive. I would have needed 20 businesses and I couldn't spread myself across all the businesses to give them the type of support that they needed, because they were young businesses. It's hard enough to try and grow one business, not to mind 20 businesses at the same time. So luckily, around that time, somebody approached me and they said, do you know what you're doing is corporate turnaround? And this was my eye-opening moment, because compared to my peers, I was so different because I was a generalist. Everybody else seemed to be sector specific, specialists. They're amazing in their fields. They'd studied the one type of thing the whole way through. And I was very different. I'd hopped around business to business, sector to sector. Even when I was in a business, I was the person that had 16 different jobs in the one firm. So that was amazing for me, because I suddenly realized that I was good at working jointly with people to problem solve and make decisions during times of distress. So with that focus, I sought out a business mentor. I also actively sought out opportunities to work in corporate turnaround, because I needed lots and lots of experience. I needed to make lots of mistakes, really, and learn from the best people in the industry, which I did. For personal reasons, I ended up coming back to Jersey. And remember, I mentioned the population control. Still very naive. I came back to Jersey hoping to transfer my business from the UK to Jersey, to discover that when you want to set up a business in Jersey, unless you have, you're a multimillionaire, which I wasn't, you have to, for your application to be successful, you need to have lived on the island for 5 years immediately prior to submitting your application. And that didn't apply to me because I had come from the UK. So for 3.5 years, I ended up commuting to and from, because I had my focus, I knew what I wanted to do. I ended up commuting to and from Jersey, sometimes commuting for up to 10 hours a day, planes, trains, and automobiles. Then eventually I was completely exhausted and quite run down. So I ended up taking a role with a firm that was willing to give me a license so they could employ me as a project manager. But because I didn't have any project management exams, I had to start at the bottom. And I had to do my exams, and I worked my way up the advisory arena until I was a director of my firm. Then I've always wanted to set up my business. So last year I left the firm I was working for during COVID, which is an amazing time to leave work and the security of employment. But I used that year, last year, to build up an art and crafts business. And this is my wellness outlet, and it provides me with the rebalancing mechanism. And I've also now worked through my restrictive covenant anti-compete clauses. So I'm now in a position that I have my own business finally. So I'm starting out on my journey again. But I want to give people some takeaways from my experience. I would say to you, without doubt, be the hero of your own story, because you need to be stubbornly precious about that part. Nobody else is going to play that role for you. And you need to keep lots of warrior and super fans, Sandy, close to hand, who will remind you that hope and the energy of others will get you through. So that's my story. I've now launched my business. So I hope that's of use to people.
That's incredible, Mary, and that really is. And definitely we're going to keep the superheroes inside us, because this is Women Warriors Network. And although I do go on about it's women warriors, men are also very much welcome, and they do engage a lot also. We're just keeping it that women lead, just because it's the Women Warriors Network. Sorry, boys, but you are part of it. Mary, that's incredible, and it's lovely to hear about your journey. We will go back to you again afterwards. Thank you so much, Mary. Just gonna, oh, I think I just did I unmute you again? Now, absolutely last but not least, the lovely Linda Plant. Now, Linda is famous for grilling the candidates on the BBC TV series The Apprentice. Now, I said I'd be scared of Sarah. Linda, until I met Linda, I would have been quivering, absolutely quivering. I watched all the Apprentice, so I know. And she's brutal, absolutely brutal. But quickly about Linda, at 16, she left school to work full-time on her mother's stall, and then later opened up her own retail shops and founded her fashion brand, Honeysuckle. She now runs Home Run, taking care of the interior design of London properties for clients on the upper end of the scale who mostly live abroad. So very, very big welcome to you, Linda.
Thank you. Welcome, everybody. Can you hear me okay? Good, good. Okay, well, it's great to be here. Thank you. And it's so lucky that we just bumped into each other that day at lunch, is it not? And here I am, hoping to answer your questions and inspire people the best I can.
So again, I believe in serendipity, and a friend of mine, another business associate, Nadine Van Dongen's on here, and we love the word serendipity, these moments. So I'd actually connected with Linda just very quickly and mentioned Women Warriors. We had a brief conversation, and then by sheer coincidence, we were dining in Oswald's in London, and I was like, Linda, oh my God, well, now I've met you, I definitely have to speak. And it's just one of those meant to be moments. And I'm absolutely delighted we did meet, and we had a bit of a giggle also. So Linda, you come from a very humble background. Did you always have the desire to be successful from a young age?
Well, I was motivated and driven from a young age. So I guess you would say that I did have the desire to be successful. And if you start with absolutely nothing, you haven't got really anywhere to go but up. You can't go any further down. But it's my nature has always been, you know, to be driven, to be motivated. And I like to be inspired and inspire others. So I guess, yes. And that motivation and that drive it started when I was very young, but it has continued throughout my journey. So I'm still probably the same today.
You're onwards and up. There's no stopping this woman. There really isn't, which is amazing. So what would you say has been your biggest challenge to date?
Well, I've had quite a long journey, and I've had a breadth of businesses. I've had the fashion business, and I've had the electronics business. But I probably think one of the biggest challenges came to us in 2008, when the banks, the mortgage companies were all in dire straits. And we had a lot of property, because my main business is I'm a property developer. And we owe the bank about £100 million. And we went to the bank and just said, look, you know, we're not the only ones in this position, but if you just hold on, just let us sell through, give us the time we need, you know, we'll sell through and we'll get every penny back to you. And that's what we did. And that was a very, very huge challenge, you know. So I mean, on a long journey, you have a lot of challenges, don't you? But I think if you ask me to name one of the biggest, you know, that, and actually being probably initially, it was a challenge being a woman in very much a man's world, because when I started, women were not at the forefront of business, and my business was all mostly conducted in the Far East, where especially places like Korea, where I had an office, they really were not used to dealing or negotiating with women. And I had to learn very quickly the art of being able to negotiate with the men and, you know, making that negotiation feel level, making them still have what they call face. So yeah, I've had a long journey, so a big learning curve.
But isn't that incredible to hear? As you said, in a man's world, obviously things have changed over the last few years, but you must have experienced those bigger challenges, definitely. Yeah. Going back a bit, but you're here stronger than ever and still super successful. And
yeah, and it's still a man's world. And it's still a man's world.
Well, the next topic next month is women leadership versus men leadership. So again, I think it's interesting
for many reasons, not just business. I mean, women. You know, I am pro women, but if someone said to me, "Is it a man's world?" I just unequivocally say, "Yes, it is." But that's another conversation.
I need you next month then as well. So you are known, which I mean, me reading this, obviously I've taken this from the tabloids and wherever. And when I met you, it was like, oh, no, you're not. So you are known as the Queen of Mean on The Apprentice. So what are you really like? So obviously I know.
Well, obviously reality TV is TV first. And my role when Alan Sugar asked me to go on The Apprentice was to really dig deep, really expose the weaknesses for his investment, you know, search through those business plans, and obviously give, you know, good television, which the two went hand in hand. So my role, I knew that my role was not to be nice and sweet, and that's a little bit boring anyway. So I knew actually in a way from my very first series that I had quickly delivered the brief of Lord Sugar, because I was nicknamed the Queen of Mean, which has stuck with me it's indefinitely. However, I'm not really the Queen of Mean. My staff in all my businesses tend to stay with me. They very rarely left me. I think you have to earn the respect of your staff, and you have to, you know, leadership is so important into how your staff are going to react and work for you. So I think I like to be inspiring, and I think I am. And with all my staff, I never took someone on if I didn't feel they had the drive and the motivation. But then I've always seen that they were motivated and excited and made to feel part of the business. So what I'm really like, I hope, is not the Queen of Mean, but an inspiring woman who has traveled a long journey and managed to go from a market stall to the stock market without a single qualification. So I like to think I am a woman warrior and an advocate for women, and saying to women, yes, you can do it, and you can do it at any age.
I absolutely love that. That sent a shiver down me, because it's everything, and I think everyone agrees here. It's kind of what we are here for. We're as capable as the next person also. And Queen of Mean, it's quite a fun title though. Look, take care. As she said,
I don't sweat small stuff, so I'm not one of these person that hangs on to my new shy. And the Queen of Mean, that's it. And you know, it's amazing how life-changing going on The Apprentice was, because it's the #2 show behind Strictly, and so many people recognize me. And of course, during the pandemic, I've gone on to do other things completely out of my comfort zone, let me tell you.
Because again, there's no stopping you. So while we were in a full lockdown, you caused a bit of a stir when you appeared on Good Morning Britain, encouraging people to go back to work to boost the economy. Yeah. When we were being told to stay at home. Explain why. I mean, I get it.
Well, I didn't suggest people go back to work while we're in the pandemic. However, once when the rules were relaxed, I did suggest people go back to work. I'm not an advocate from working from home, because I believe that creation is collaboration. That's the first thing I find and have found. I mean, some businesses you can work, and they have worked for many years from a desk at home. But in all my businesses, I found I like to interact with people. That gives you ideas, bouncing ideas off each other. And, you know, there are people that live in a very small, maybe in a bedsit, and they come into that office, they have their day in their office. After work, they go out for drinks, they socialize, and sometimes during a social environment, ideas come out, suggestions are made. So I am still today very much a person for going into an office. However, I have accepted this probably will be a hybrid system. But for me, you know, that personal contact is everything. Everything. Just really, for instance, you and I met personally, and that's what really clicked to do this. You know, because somebody, you just interact. So interaction, and I have to say, I say it again, for me and for my businesses, collaboration is creation.
And so I love that. I totally agree. I think some people, obviously, I live in, I'm in central London, and I'm opposite the Google building. I mean, I can see now these offices have been empty over a year, and it makes me so sad. I'm like, yeah. What do you do? I used to love people seeing people, you know, in and out. And
I agree. You know, I'm not saying you'll be. Look, we know we live in a changing world, and we have to embrace change, because we have to be today and tomorrow's people, not yesterday's people. However, I do believe that, you know, in many cases, even if it's hybrid, people need to have interaction. Yes, direct interaction, not through a Zoom. I mean, we're doing this through a Zoom, and it's great. But I'd rather be standing. I'd rather be standing on a stage looking at faces. Yes, I would.
Yeah, I agree. I'm with you there. But Linda, you are so full of energy, and hearing that you're not likely to slow down anytime soon. So what is your main focus and plans for the future? Because I know I've looked at the Linda Plant Academy, which looks incredible.
Yes, well, I wrote a business course during lockdown, and I wanted to write something that wasn't an ordinary kind of course, because, as I've said, my journey's been long, and I don't have any qualifications, no university, but I do know a lot about business, and I find a lot about business transgresses into life. So I wrote a business course that's a true grit of business. And I've given quite a few talks. So I started my academy, of which there's the business course, and there is critique your CV. There's 4 or 5 things. And there's a lot of videos and things that I've done. But I gave a talk to the Prince's Trust, and I offered a prize of mentorship. And they selected the 4 best businesses, and then I chose from that a winner. They're all good. And I'm mentoring this young lady. And through the Prince's Trust, I met a very enterprising young man called Cordell Jeffers. And he asked me if I would do a collaboration with him, which is a collaboration. He is well-versed and qualified in mindset for business, which is very, very important. Mental health, mindset, and I bring the business side. So we've done a collaboration, which is www.apprentice to CEO. And between us, we are offering a 12-week course. So it's business, it's mindset, it's for everybody. And it's really fantastic. So I'm really excited about that.
Can you share the link to that, Linda, please?
Yeah, yes, I will.
If you don't get it on here, I'll send it out.
I'll get Hayley to share it, yes. And we're doing a webinar tomorrow night, so I'll get Hayley to share that, so people can actually register for free. So that's exciting for me, because having done this long journey, and I'm still in business, I still have my property business, but having done this long journey, I think now I want to inspire people. You know, I want to inspire especially mothers, women who think, can I be a mother? Can I have a business? I've done all of that. So I want to inspire people, and I want to inspire people that you don't just have to be young. You can be in the middle of your life. You can be any time of your life. There's a good time to start for different reasons. So that is my goal. in these years now, I'm still doing my property business, but can I inspire? Can I help people? Can I do this now? And I think that is really fulfilling for me, and that's what I want to do.
And yes, you can. And yes, we all can. This is what I love about this. I love the positivity, the inspiration, what people get from this. And as I said, please stay connected, everybody. You know, we're all here, we're all around here, and this is what it's all about: connecting, contributing, and developing relationships. Linda, thank you so much. There is another coming to you, but I'm looking at the timing, so I'm just going to mute you quickly. So I just want to thank everybody. I mean, listening to these speakers, again, it's incredible. If it's incredible for me, it's incredible for absolutely everybody. But conscious of the time, because I want to be one of those strict ones who sticks within our power hour, I'd just like to open it out to everyone. Are there any questions for the speakers that we have today? Either raise your hand or... Oh, Heidi?
Yeah, thank you so much, Sandy. So I think there's something that's like really resonating with me, having listened to all of you, and it's something that some people call the X factor, or having a mojo. You seem to have a mojo about all of you. I mean, this is what resilience is. I mean, Linda, how do you consistently sort of find that mojo and get it back and get that motivation to literally, you know, continually contribute to society and business and doing what you're doing every day?
Well, I think I have a lot of energy, and I have a lot of power in my thoughts, and I think that there's no set recipe for having a mojo. And here's the thing: perseverance is very important, because in my life, as in everyone's life, it hasn't been smooth running, but problems need solutions. And if you fail at something, you pick yourself up, because what you failed at today will prepare you for tomorrow. You won't make that mistake again. And don't be afraid to fail, because what is the very worst that can happen? You know, you have to, I say this time and time again, if you want to have a go, have a go. Because if you don't have a go, then you'll never know. If you have a go and it's good, fabulous. If you have a go and it's failed, well, at least you know you've had a go. And that's taken me through my life. I've always said yes. Look, when I went on television, I didn't know if I could go on television. I was scared shitless, but I thought, well, what am I going to do? If I don't say yes, I'll never know. Maybe I'll be good on The Apprentice. And that is how... That's the mindset. That's what I love about my collaboration with Cordell, because it's not just, it's your mindset as well as business inspiration. It's very, very important to inspire people. So I hope I can inspire people through my own journey, but just have a go. Just have a go.
You have, and thank you very much.
Pleasure.
Sandy, you're on mute.
You're on mute.
Thanks, Mary. So from Nadine Van Dongen, for Linda, she said, as Mary said, resilience is being a hero in your story, which I love and hope. What is the attitude you need to be resilient in business?
Perseverance, not afraid to fail. If it goes wrong, problems need solutions. Don't do knee-jerk reactions. Think about it, think about the solution, build a team around you. You can't do it on your own, even if you start on your own, depending on your business, but persevere. Just don't give up at the first time you fall. You know, in life, in personal life, we all have challenges, but what can we do? We can't lay down and die. We have to carry on. Just persevere, don't give up.
Nadine, sorry, I found Nadine. I couldn't find you in all the people.
No, thank you. And I know, because I also wanted to hear from Sarah, also the same thing, like resilience is like such a broad word, but for Sarah also, what for you is like, if you say a few key words in resilience for you?
I think pretty much Linda's said them all, but yeah, grit, determination, never give up. I think that dissing the men at all, because, you know, men are useful, but for women that have particularly have you know, children, there's something in women, and I know lots of women don't have children, so I don't want people to throw eggs at me or anything, but I'm just saying, we've got this, we will feed our children before we feed ourselves. We will feed our family, we look after people, we are nurturers. And that is far more a female thing than it is a male thing. So when we're going through a tough time, if we have the added pressure of a young family, or in my case, when I went through my financial difficulties, my children were teenagers, I was crushed and devastated to cause them so much anguish in their lives. I didn't know if I'd be able to keep them in the same schools. I didn't, you know, we had to sell our house. I was a single mum, all those things. So it's just, we are fighters. And I think sometimes women don't realize actually how much fuel they've got in the tank. And when you feel like, there were days where I didn't want to get out of bed. There were nights when I went to bed and I was praying that I would not wake up the next morning. And so I know exactly how raw that horrific fear can be. But if you just keep as calm as you can and be kind to yourself, you know, sometimes, sorry, that's a long way of answering a question. We are warriors, but we're also very human. We hurt, we cry, we feel, we have great sensitivity, and we also have to embrace that. And sometimes when we feel really shit, you know, hello, Netflix, that's what it's there for. And you know, like I said, I just spent 3 full days in bed with long COVID. I had to drag myself out of bed this morning. I'll probably go back to bed after lunch for an hour, but we have more fuel in the tank than we think. But equally, let's not be afraid to say to people, when we feel really desperate, there is always somebody out there who will support. And that could be literally crying. We should have a cry-a-thon one of these seminars and really tell our battle stories, no holds barred.
Love it. I was a speaker on the previous event of the Women Warriors Network about the importance of positive mental health. So that was also linking exactly what you're saying. So thank you so much for the.
Thank you, Nadine. And guys, I just want to say a huge thank. We've just gone over. Mary, very quickly, I do want to throw this in for you. What is your favorite part of a corporate turnaround? Just very quickly.
For me, I believe in the power of energy, and corporate turnarounds sometimes are quite stressful situations, and you're not doing it alone. You cannot do it alone. It's like trying to turn around a juggernaut. So you get an awful lot of energy from the people that are there, and you've got to be able to find and work with them to release that energy from within them so that they're motivated to go forward. And it's not always money that motivates different things. Sarah touched on it. You know, some people want to provide a livelihood for their children. Other people really are invested in the business, even though they don't own it, and they want it to survive. So it's just trying to get under the skin of things and using that energy to be positive and move it forward. And that's what I love about it.
And I love that, because that is all the positivity and the support. We've got it around here. I'm very lucky to have amazing, amazing friends and family, and that definitely picks me up. If it's not that, I'm swiping on up. Okay, we won't go there. I'm only kidding. Guys, I just want to end this to say a huge, absolute thank you to you all. And follow your dreams, lead with purpose, and never give up. My aim with this is to create a global network where women support and encourage each other to fulfill their business visions. The next event is on the 9th of June. The topic is women leaders versus male leaders. So if you know any amazing leaders, which I know lots of them now, please do tune in. As I said, this is all recorded. I will send it out to you along with a brief one, sometimes a little bit too long, but an absolute huge thank you, guys. You are all amazing women and men warriors who have joined us today. So I will see you all again. Thank you.
Thank you.